I know a lot of people have long forgotten about Diddy. Cassie is set to take the stand today, and so I'll probably do a reaction video to the reaction videos of that because it is a closed off case. It is not open like the YSL trial or anything like that. New details in Diddy's freak off case. Let me go over to that really quickly. Let's talk about it. Make sure you guys, and they saying that Diddy got a head full of gray hair. They say his whole beard, his whole hair is all white. All white. Do y'all think that we'll ever see Diddy in person or in a picture ever again? Here's some of the details of what's happening in the first day of testimony before Cassie is set to take the stand today.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Almost six.
Somebody said, what is the Discord? The Discord is an extension of the Patreon, but more conversations are happening based off of the thread that you decide. Just go into, when you go into the Patreon, click the Discord. It's extended conversations of what is happening already in the Patreon and with the bag chasers. All right.
O'clock here on the East Coast as day one of the Sean Diddy Combs trial wrapping up in New York City. We had the jury be seated, opening statements, and then some explosive graphic witness testimony early on. A live picture right now outside of the courthouse. We're awaiting any comments. We did see some of the family members for Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul, leaving a short while ago. All right, let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox and bring into the conversation Fox 5 reporter Michelle Ross on the ground outside of the courthouse. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us about what happened inside that courtroom today?
Well, the latest witness to take the stand today is a man named Daniel Phillips, and he was a male strip show manager. He would manage male strippers who would perform for things like bachelorette parties. But he said that he was paid to have sex with Cassie Ventura back in 2013 in a New York City hotel while Sean Diddy Combs allegedly sat in the corner, watched, and masturbated. This morning, his family...
That is wild. That is wild. That is absolutely, positively insane. That is insane to me. Good God. Paying somebody else to bust down your chick so you can then take her to a New York Knicks game after you done beat off in a corner. That is crazy.
Entered the courthouse rather, while leaving a black van. This includes his children, his sons, and also his twin daughters. His family has heard graphic allegations of the alleged sexual encounters, and his daughters walked out during that testimony. Phillips, the second witness of the day, said he was told by his boss that he was going to perform at a bachelorette party at the Gramercy Park Hotel, but when he arrived, he saw Cassie in red lingerie and a red wig. He testified she said that they would rub baby oil on each other and would see where things would go from there while her husband was there. Combs was allegedly in a corner in a white robe concealing his face with a bandana, but Phillips said he recognized Diddy's voice. He was paid a few $1,000s when he left. Phillips said this went on more times, meeting up at hotels or their homes, and Diddy would direct them while having sex. Now, a supporter of the alleged victims, Jaguar Wright, spoke out before court this morning.
Oh, God. Oh, God. The clout chasing is at an all-time high. Let me say that again. The clout chasing is at an all-time high.
There's going to be a lot of curveballs. I do believe there's going to be a lot of interesting things. And what I will say is, be vigilant. We're getting started.
Is this a reckoning for the music industry?
Oh, it needs to be. And if it wasn't, I hope my presence starts that.
You know, I was offered an opportunity to interview this girl multiple different times, and I respectfully declined. And people kept telling me, Anton, you need to go and interview Jaguar Wright. Anton, you need to interview Jaguar Wright. And I just don't feel as though I need the views. You know what I'm saying? Like, some views ain't worth it. Some money ain't worth it. Some opportunities ain't worth it. Some interviews ain't worth it. I just don't. You know, some people, in my opinion, are just straight up evil. They rub you the wrong way. It's a spirit that comes along with them. It's the clout chasing. It's the, so, you know, I'm just like, nah, you know, I've had some people that are pretty controversial. I'm going to go ahead and stop at where I'm at I'm not interested in having a conversation with this woman at all. I can't. I can't at all. I can't. Mm-mm.
Now, Phillips also testified that he witnessed Combs assault Cassie in their home and that he feared for his own life, but eventually befriended Cassie. Now, the person to testify before him was the hotel security guard who responded to the incident caught on surveillance video in that Los Angeles hotel back in 2016 when Diddy was caught on video assaulting Cassie. And he testified that Diddy threw a sack of money at him in their hotel room afterwards to keep quiet. That testimony resumes tomorrow with Daniel Phillips, and after that, Cassie Ventura is expected to take the stand. She is the prosecution's star witness. We're live outside the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Michelle Ross, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Michelle. And it's fascinating, some of those details inside. We're going to glean more of that in just a little bit. But I want to talk about the circus that is outside as well in New York City, familiar with major high-profile cases as well. Can you set the scene a little bit and describe
I agree, Jody.
some of the environment outside of this courthouse, because there are no cameras inside?
Right. No cameras allowed inside. It's mostly press that's behind me here, but already a line has formed for press and the public to get into the courtroom tomorrow. So I would say there are about maybe 36 people. They have lawn chairs sitting out ready to get in and stay here overnight.
I'm straight.
Oh, wow. That is impressive. Obviously, something we'll continue.
I don't care enough to spend a night on the ground in New York City to try to get into and witness the details of the Diddy case. I just don't care enough.
Continue to file this 8-week-long trial expected to go day one wrapping up. Michelle Ross, I appreciate your time here on Live Now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great stuff from Michelle there here on Live Now from Fox. As you can see, some of these sketches from inside of the courtroom, as some of these details are going to be graphic, and that we're warned some of the jurors about this here on Live Now from Fox about all of these details. Let's continue our conversation about this here on Live Now from Fox and bring in to the conversation former federal prosecutor, friend of the program, Nima Rahmani. Nima, thank you so much for joining us here as day one of this trial, wrapping up a federal case accused there of sex trafficking and racketeering. The defense attorney during opening statement said, this Sean Diddy Combs is a complicated man, but this is not a complicated case. Is this a complicated case?
It is a complicated case, Andy, and we've been waiting for this day for a year and a half, and a lot happened today. We got our jury, we got through opening statements, and we're on our second witness. So let's talk about the opening statement. And it's interesting, not necessarily the substance, which I'll get into, but who delivered the opening statement. In a case that's about gender violence, we had two women deliver the opening statement. The prosecution is almost all women, so that's not unexpected. But you had Tony Garagos, Mark Garagos' daughter, who delivered the defense opening statement. And I think you really can see the defense perspective here, and the optics matter. You have a case that's about gender violence, and you have a relatively young attorney, certainly one of the less experienced attorneys on the team. She's certainly well qualified to deliver the opening statement. I think that's important. And one thing that she said, which I think is going to be a theme throughout the case, is obviously consent. We knew that. But a second big theme is the distinction between physical violence and sexual violence. We've all seen the 2016 video of the Intercontinental Hotel. All the jurors have seen that. So the defense had to take a position where they accepted responsibility for the domestic violence, the physical assault and battery. And I think that made sense from both a legal and a credibility perspective. You can't deny that that assault happened. And importantly, Diddy's not charged with assault or domestic violence in this case. Now, it is a potential RICO predicate act. So they may be stepping into those waters. But I think what they're trying to do is draw a line and say, listen, this was a mutually combative relationship, and it was toxic, and there was physical violence. But they're trying to draw the line and say there was no sexual assault and there was no rape.
Yeah.
And I agree 100%. Listen, I know that it's going to be an unpopular opinion. But I've never been one to shy away from telling you exactly what I believe. I believe, and this is just my personal opinion about Diddy, I think he has a sex demon. Yeah. I do. I think that he has a sex demon. I also believe that every single person that was in that room including the people that are testifying against him that was hired to come in and bust down his chick, were willing participants, including Cassie. Including but not limited to Cassie. I believe that every last one of these people were willing participants when it came to what they were doing and who they were doing it with and whether or not they were participating on the stage with Diddy. I just do. I don't look at Cassie as a victim. I look at her as a willing participant. I don't look at these guys that came in and bust down a chick. I look at with the baby oil. I look at them as a willing participant. I am not going to sit here and say, because, dog, do you know how many people were pining, whining, celebrating, talking about, can't wait to get to a Diddy party, from the rappers that was all sitting there at the Rock Nation brunch to every single person? It seemed like every single chick was talking about the possibility of getting into a Diddy party until charges came out or until Cassie filed a lawsuit. Then it all of a sudden became, man, why would you ever want to go to it? Nigga, you was right there. You was right there. All of these people, and again, I stand on it. I think that Diddy is a nasty, weird, gay, old, zesty man. Cuck. Call every name in the book that you want to call him. But I believe that the people that were participating were willing participants, and they willingly went there. They were not brought in, drugged in against their will, and then did something to them. Bull, you missing me with that. I'm still standing on that. I'm standing on that. Royal Heart said, you still want to go? They used to brag about the Diddy parties. They used to brag about it. They used to brag about it. And then all of a sudden everybody was confused. I didn't know what I was doing. Man, get the hell out of here. You knew what you was doing and you knew what you was getting into. It wasn't no secret. It was the biggest open secret ever. The biggest open secret ever. Wasn't nobody confused. Nobody. Not a girl, not a guy, not anybody. Nobody was confused.